Welcome back to the days of today. We will learn about the issue of power plays at Titan, EJ's shadowy schemes around the hospital and clinic, and the rising emotional stakes as Chad, Kat, and Stephanie get pulled into Salem's latest stormfront of secrets and strategy. Maggie versus Tony. Maggie Kyriakis storms into the fray with laser focus, blasting Tony DiMera for leveraging a public spectacle and legal threats to corner Philip and Xander, all while invoking Victor's legacy as a non-negotiable line in the sand. She argues Titan's heritage isn't a bargaining chip and refuses to let DiMera strong-arm the family empire, even as the battlefield shifts from press conferences to boardroom brinkmanship. Tony counters that Kyriakis' moves were predatory during EJ's incapacitation and frames his play as a corrective strike, posturing for a settlement while hinting he'd rather win the war than a headline skirmish. Titan's tense summit. Behind closed doors, Xander, Philip, Alex, and Brady convene an urgent Titan summit to dissect Tony's terms, only to discover they can't even agree on the shape of the threat, much less the answer to it. Brady urges discipline and airtight optics as they weigh whether a deal cedes too much leverage, while Alex, fresh off turbulence with Stephanie, pushes for clarity fast, knowing indecision can tank market confidence. The brothers insist Titan's leadership structure be locked down to prevent further legal exposure, but Tony's gambit has already put them on the defensive, forcing them to decide if conceding a sliver now prevents bleeding later. Victor's legacy invoked. Maggie returns with intel from her face-off and calls for a counteroffensive, insisting that Titan's path forward must honor Victor's philosophy. Hold ground, don't fold, and never let an opponent define the narrative. She praises signs of unity, Xander elevating Philip and talking stability, not sabotage, yet warns goodwill without structure is a trap Tony can exploit. The takeaway is stark. Shore up governance, align messaging, and make Titan's values the headline, not Tony's lawsuit. EJ's clinic and cover. At the hospital, EJ floats plans to celebrate a new free clinic, framing it as a public-spirited expansion that broadens access and rebuilds trust amid recent unrest in Salem's healthcare corridors. Stephanie hears the pitch but clocks the subtext. A clinic launch doubles as a political and logistical staging ground, granting EJ oversight of budgets, tests, and personnel flows that could mask deeper plays. Rumblings suggest EJ monitors high-cost testing and approval chains with unusual zeal, implying the clinic's spreadsheets may hide pressure points and opportunities he can later weaponize. Stephanie's alarm bells. Stephanie's anxiety spikes as she parses EJ's timeline and the optics of his hospital influence, wondering what parts of this gift come wrapped with strings he doesn't intend to cut. Kayla senses the tension and encourages a methodical read on EJ's promises versus his procurement and compliance demands, knowing Salem has seen charity used as camouflage before. The more EJ smiles for the camera, the more Stephanie hunts for audit trails, approval bottlenecks, and data filters that could be rerouted at the flip of a switch. Kat walks the wire. Kat Green, embedded in EJ's orbit, balances two lives. The capable assistant EJ sees across a dinner table and the ISA-aligned operator quietly feeding Rafe Hernandez with curated intel. Reports say EJ offers just enough flirtatious warmth and fake breadcrumbs to keep Kat close, hoping to read her as much as she reads him, while Rafe nudges her to lean into proximity for better access. That intimacy brings risk. Blurring lines with a DiMera can scramble loyalties, and Kat's mission discipline will be tested as EJ crafts a version of himself that looks competent, misunderstood, and almost magnetic. Chad's protective edge. Chad confides his unease as he watches Kat clock long hours and post-work dinners with EJ, warning her about the DiMera capacity for patient, elegant ruthlessness behind polite smiles. He's seen EJ turn business into leverage before, and the potential of a personal triangle is the exact destabilizer Chad wants to avoid while family business is under siege. Even so, Chad recognizes Kat's autonomy and skill, forcing him into a delicate posture. Be honest about danger without undermining her judgment or the mission's integrity. EJ's hidden levers. Whispers around the hospital suggest EJ is mapping testing workflows, supply acquisition, and lab billing cadence, a dull-sounding layer cake that becomes potent if he can slow or greenlight processes on command. A man with a clinic ribbon in one hand and a data choke point in the other can reshape outcomes, medical, legal, even romantic, by knowing when to accelerate and when to stall. If the clinic's feel-good launch overlaps with high-stakes investigations, expect EJ to blur church and state between philanthropy and power. Tony's settlement shadow. Insiders believe Tony prefers a settlement over a courtroom brawl, a tell that his leverage is broader than deep and designed to force Titan to blink first. He's betting that threat optics, not airtight evidence, can fracture the Kyriakis coalition just enough to secure concessions he couldn't win at trial. If Titan stabilizes leadership and unifies messaging, Tony's negotiating window narrows, and Maggie knows it. Brady and Alex crosscurrents. Brady positions himself as the pragmatic voice at Titan, weighing the reputational and operational cost of any accord with Tony while scanning for a lane that returns him to durable influence. Alex, rattled by personal drama and professional whiplash, is determined to wring clarity from chaos, knowing each unclear directive can be spun into a legal narrative by Demera counsel. Together, they're a study in contrast. Brady's seasoned caution paired with Alex's demand for immediacy, both necessary as Titan attempts to lock the doors before more wind gets in. Stephanie's next move. With Kayla's antenna up, Stephanie leans toward a verify then trust model. Applaud the clinic's mission, but independently trace budget lines, vendor approvals, and lab throughput for anomalies. If she can isolate which community benefits map to EJ's favorite control panels, she'll know where the trapdoors are before anyone falls through them. Her questions may not stop the launch, but they can prevent policy commitments that quietly centralize power under EJ's thumb. Part 2. When Holly turns away from Tate, Johnny and Chanel celebrate their chance at adoption, but Sophia may throw a wrench in the plans. Welcome back to the world of Days of Our Lives, where each new day in Salem brings with it a tangled web of emotions, heartbreak, and surprising twists. The episode that aired on Friday, September 19, 2025, was no exception. It delivered a delicate mix of youthful heartache, long-time marital struggles, and the hopes and fears that come with adoption. For loyal fans, it was another reminder that in Salem, no one's future is ever truly secure. Holly and Tate, young love in trouble. The episode began with a tense situation between Holly and Tate. Holly, who has been growing into her own independent young woman, made the difficult decision to reject Tate. For Tate, this was more than a teenage heartbreak. It was a wake-up call. His feelings for Holly run deep, but instead of showing maturity, he made a series of impulsive mistakes that are now coming back to haunt him. We see Tate arrive unexpectedly at his father Brady's home. Marlena, always the poised grandmotherly figure, was there as well, surprised but happy to see her grandson stop by. Tate claimed he was there to check on Rachel. After all, he knows the pain of having a mother behind bars. But that wasn't the full truth. Once Marlena left the room, Tate revealed his real reason for showing up. He needed his father's advice. The weight of his struggles came tumbling out. Tate confessed to Brady that he wasn't just upset over Holly. He admitted that he tried to use his fight with Holly as a way to manipulate Sophia, the young woman carrying a baby whose future has become the center of Salem's latest storm. Tate even revealed that in his desperation, he went as far as stealing a kiss from Sophia, an act that not only confused her but also deeply betrayed Holly's trust. Brady, understandably, was not impressed. As a father who's lived through his fair share of bad decisions, Brady didn't hold back. He scolded Tate for treating both young women so poorly. It wasn't just about broken hearts. It was about respect, honesty, and integrity. Brady reminded Tate that desperation never justifies hurting others, and that no woman deserves to be played with for information or used as a pawn in someone else's scheme. Brady's fatherly wisdom. The heart of this episode came in the father-son exchange between Brady and Tate. For once, Tate seemed willing to listen, even if reluctantly. Brady made it clear that Tate's first responsibility should be to calm down and stop creating more lies. If Holly is meant to forgive him, it won't happen by trickery. And as for Sophia and the baby, Brady was firm. That situation is not Tate's to control. Brady and Steve have their own plans to handle things, and Tate needs to step back before he makes matters worse. Brady also reminded his son that he just started college. His focus should be on building a future for himself, not drowning in chaos he isn't mature enough to fix. And yet, Brady softened at the end. Despite his anger, he made sure Tate knew he was appreciated. He thanked his son for trusting him enough to come forward and talk, rather than bottling everything up or acting even more recklessly. That small moment of connection between father and son was touching, a reminder that even in Salem's storms, family ties can provide an anchor. Sarah's determination to save her marriage. While Tate was navigating his youthful mistakes, another storyline unfolded with Sarah Horton. Sarah, whose marriage has been under enormous strain, confided that she still believes she can salvage her relationship. For many longtime viewers, Sarah's optimism may feel familiar. She has always been a woman who believes in second chances, even when the odds are against her. Whether her determination will be enough to heal the wounds in her marriage remains to be seen. But in true Days fashion, her storyline serves as a contrast to the younger generation's impulsive mistakes. Sarah is fighting not just for romance but for the security and stability that comes with commitment. Her journey will likely remind viewers that love is not just about passion but also about patience, forgiveness, and persistence. Johnny and Chanel's hopeful adoption. Meanwhile, in another corner of Salem, joy was blossoming. Johnny and Chanel, one of the most beloved young couples in town, were practically glowing with excitement. They were thrilled at the possibility of adopting Tesoro, the baby who has already captured their hearts. After all their struggles, the thought of starting a family brought them a happiness that had been long overdue. Their excitement, however, was tinged with uncertainty. Adoption in Salem is never straightforward, and longtime fans know that just when everything seems to fall into place, a hidden complication is bound to emerge. For Johnny and Chanel, that complication might come in the form of Sophia. Sophia, the wild card. Sophia, the young mother at the center of the adoption, remains a figure of unpredictability. While Johnny and Chanel may believe Tesoro is within their reach, Sophia may have other plans. Whether out of maternal instinct, manipulation, or a sudden change of heart, she has the power to derail everything Johnny and Chanel are dreaming of. Her presence looms over this storyline like a shadow. Fans are left wondering, will Sophia give up her baby to a couple who can provide stability and love? Or will she cling to Tesoro, reshaping the fates of Johnny, Chanel, and perhaps even Tate, who is already tangled in her orbit? Looking ahead, Salem's uncertain futures. This episode of Days of Our Lives brought together multiple threads, weaving a picture of love, responsibility, and the choices that shape families. From Holly's brave decision to stand up for herself, to Tate's humbling confrontation with his father, to Sarah's unwavering faith in her marriage, and finally to Johnny and Chanel's dreams of parenthood. Every character was reminded that happiness must be fought for, and that nothing in life is guaranteed.